Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Debt Collection 101 here on Arbeit U.
Alex, I'm enraged, and let me tell you why. Everyone has seen the news lately, right? Everyone saw this Robocop Act that is out, and it is ridiculous.
Oh, fake laugh.
Okay. All right, so yeah, the Robocop Act was talked about recently. It was brought up during a meeting of a group of 6 senators, blah, 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 blah. And basically it's about blocking illegal robocalls.
Correct. Keyword being illegal there,
It's
right?
it's all over the news. We've talked about this before. But illegal robocalls are, everyone knows they're
secrets out. No one likes getting illegal.
People are getting scammed, losing money, and it's annoying. I get Susie from Credit Card Services calling my cell phone 3 times a week.
Stupid Susie.
Yeah. So,
So we brought someone in to talk more about this, right?
Yeah. Alonzo, our VoIP expert.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So, there's 2 issues, right? There's this whole robocall act, and there's the scam likely. They kind of go hand in hand. It's the same concept. They're blocking consumers from receiving legitimate business calls. We experience it all the time.
Yep.
So, what's the scam likely? I guess can you talk about that?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah.
Scam likely?
Yeah. Like how is that happening?
So you may see on your cell phone if you have like T-Mobile or Verizon, or depending on the type of soft phone you have or cell phone you have, like the Google Pixels, they have these embedded software in them that detect fraudulent calls or scam calls or anything like that. For instance, you might get a phone call and it might come up a big red background, or might say scam likely for the caller name with a number under it, real small. And these are the cell phone providers or the app vendors flagging phone calls. And it could be based off of patterns or algorithms that these phone calls are making. So for instance, if a carrier sees that a particular phone number is calling thousands of people rapidly, real fast, they might say, hey, that might be a little fishy, and they might just internally flag it, and now that phone call, whenever it goes to anyone on their network, will be listed as scam likely.
Right. So now on the Robocall Act end of it, this is dealing with more so, it's an act to require phone companies basically to offer all consumers free robocall blocking technology. So,
Free.
Yeah, free. So they're basically making it, if you have a cell phone, you have to be allowed to block all robocalls from coming in. How is that possible? Yeah, how are they determining it's a robocall?
Well,
The consumer, right?
Yeah, your best guess.
Right now?
how will the consumer determine it?
No, just like Verizon is the carrier. How do they know to block this call?
How do they know it's a
Yeah,
robocall?
well, you really don't unless like the FBI goes on and investigates it. A call, on the technical level, a call is a call. You're not going to know if it's a good call, bad call, fraudulent call, scam call, whatever. So they might try to implement the algorithm, as I said before, where if a carrier sees like unusual patterns in calls, like if they see thousands of calls going out with the same caller ID to all over the place or on the one centralized place, or if they're spoofing like known caller IDs, then they might try to flag that.
Right, and if there's this algorithm would probably, it does now result in false positives.
Yeah, all
tons
the
of them.
time.
Yeah.
All the time.
We have clients who've called in and had numbers changed
Switched out.
because they're
getting marked as.
consumers are flagging
Yep.
because it's a call from a debt collector and they don't want to talk to the debt collector, so they're saying
it's a scam, and the carriers are marking it as that going forward.
I don't know if there's other ways where these companies get this information from, but if they go off consumer complaints online, then yeah, any collection agency, you're scam likely.
Right.
There's no way to get out of that one then.
So for this Robocall Act, there's 2 different things here on it. One, I guess the first one we should go on to talk about is the technology would not block public safety entities and calls that consumers consent to receive. So how
How would you determine? How would you distinguish between those?
I'm going to have my cell phone. How do I say I want to receive this call from this debt collector? I don't know the debt collector is even going to call me. How am I supposed to say this? I don't.
Yeah, you really want to know. The only way that like calls for like school closings or emergencies to get through is if those particular caller IDs were registered in a database somewhere that all carriers had to
ahead
look
of
at.
And there is no database
Yeah.
like this right now.
There's no database like this right now.
Because anyone can
So-
be a carrier.
Yeah, pretty much anyone can go online and, start up their own VoIP carrier on a small scale basis, yeah.
Right. So what's going to happen though is you're going to have Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, all these mega carriers, and they're going to just start denying all these calls from going through to consumers because they're on their algorithm as scam. But
Because
there's a
it
ton
might be
of
like a high outbound.
scam calls, like the one mentioned in this case is a guy who scammed people on timeshares, I think.
Yeah, he's out of Florida.
And he was making tons of robocalls on timeshares, and obviously the content of those calls were for scamming people.
Yeah.
But many businesses that are legitimate make massive amounts of calls.
Yeah.
Call centers, collection agencies.
Yeah.
They have to. That's just
Hospitals.
Yeah.
Doctors'
Hospitals.
offices do it. I get dentist appointments.
Right. So
So the problem is that these companies are going to get swept up in this, right? So
Everyone will.
yeah,
Everyone, your local barber shop that has a,
Johnny.
that has a little system for notification.
Yeah, to alert you that you have an upcoming appointment or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, everyone will be affected by this, big or small.
yeah, I mean there's a possible solution is if there is a database that you can just register your phone numbers with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
that
now-
doesn't.
But
it's
that,
not-
I mean, that's, yeah,
Now-
it's temporary,
There's
right?
nothing like that in place. To get
Yeah.
that in place is
Yeah, so now a database has to be made. All the carriers, the phone system dates back, long time ago. And it was it's very archaic. So now we're trying to introduce all this new technology into it. Everything is based on an old system.
And
It'd
there's,
be very, very complicated.
and there's a lot of carriers
There's
at
thousands.
the top.
Hundreds.
There's
Yeah.
so to be it's not like what are you supposed to do? Register with all of them? Because
Do you guys register the number, like individual numbers?
Well, this isn't a thing yet. So.
Yeah.
it's not a thing yet. But
Yeah, hypothetically.
Or hopefully never a thing.
Yeah, right?
And then what's going to be required to prove that you're legitimate? What's
And that is only temporary too, right?
The
Like,
most,
his
the
numbers
most
get
logical
changed
thing
out.
is to get a written notarized affidavit, listing all your phone numbers, and you mail that, certified mail.
it'll take forever.
This is
Yeah.
sarcasm, but
Yeah, I know.
No, wait, so you really don't want to do that?
no, that sounds awful.
I mean, people
But what
especially-
about like companies, like we have people all the time who switch out their numbers, right?
Yeah.
So like what if you swap out your numbers every 6 months or something like that?
What if you open today and I want to start making calls?
Yeah, right.
Brand new phone number. I have to wait now. To
4
register?
months or whatever to get this affidavit
It
done?
just slows everything. I mean, I would imagine there could be there's
streamline.
there's realistic solutions. Like there's a big mega database that's implemented, or one of the big ones that are already out there. There's a bunch of like obviously Verizon and them, and like there's bigger ones in the back end, like companies like Newstar. I think like someone like that could take the charge and have this database and be responsible for saying these are legitimate things and everything like that. And if there was a web portal to do that, that would be probably a win-win. I mean, it's annoying, but it's not as bad. At least you don't have to worry about your calls getting blocked. But
Yeah.
but
But now,
then on the other end, scam likely. Consumers are in control of that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you're giving
Given all the
the
power.
general population the control of saying this is a scam or not on their cell phone, I think debt collection calls are always going to get caught up.
Yeah,
in that.
I'm never paying my student loans.
Especially if you're
Yeah.
using like a calling system that has the 3-second pause in it.
Yeah.
They're definitely gonna.
Especially if it has a 3-second pause. in
Because
it.
it's obviously that's a dialer. So.
I know one of the companies behind the Scam Likely said you can register on their website saying that you're legitimate and we will no longer flag your phone calls as Scam Likely. But now, if you register as a collection agency, they'll start flagging your phone calls as collections likely.
And that's
Just as-
well. I wouldn't recommend a collection agency does that
Yeah.
right now because you're disclosing now. Is that going to get caught
Yeah.
up?
So now is it every time you call out, are you
Yeah.
violating?
If I'm sitting here next to you and this
says
starts
collections.
ringing, it's disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now everyone in your family saw your collections.
Yeah,
call.
so now you're getting sued for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just again not people who don't understand the debt collection
great idea.
industry. People who don't understand the debt collection industry are implementing that.
Yeah.
They don't understand that that's a violation, and they're implementing that, and that just doesn't make any sense at all. Another one of the things on this is that the FCC is going to require telecom companies to verify that the caller ID is accurate. And I'm assuming telecom companies, they don't mean companies like us, but they mean Verizon.
Verizon, Sprint.
So Verizon is now required,
Just what Verizon wants.
to say this caller ID is accurate, but if a call is coming into them, unless they how do How are they supposed to do that? Are you supposed to send them? There's no way, really.
Alonzo thinks they're going to pawn it off, right? Verizon's just going to try and pawn it off on somebody else like us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways it could do it. I think the most logical way, if this was to happen, or were to happen, would be to the lowest level carrier in the chain would have to do the verification, and like every carrier above it would just assume that the traffic is good and pure,
Right.
and it was verified or vetted.
So
That's exactly what you want. Don't ask too many questions.
It's kind of like how it is now. Like the carriers just pass any type of caller ID, you send it, because that's how the system was built originally. It didn't have these safeguards in there because it just assumed that everyone that they talked to was compliant and was
Right.
working properly.
Yeah, so it's gonna, I mean, that's the only way for it to, because at the lowest level, that's where the company's able to change their caller ID.
Yeah.
So it's just passing that information up, and up, and it goes through 10 different carriers. By the time it gets to Verizon, it's, there's no
Yeah.
way.
Verizon can say,
I mean,
we did.
we deal with millions of phone calls.
Yeah,
Thank you.
A
Hundreds
week.
of millions, yeah.
A week.
Millions.
Yeah. So if every single one of our phone calls had to be vetted by Verizon above us
Yeah, okay.
or anyone in between,
Mhm.
then it would just be chaos.
So there's,
Yeah.
That's true. You're looking
Yeah.
for.
I mean, there's like, for us, it's not like for us to. I have a couple already ideas on how we can make sure that our customers are using the correct caller IDs.
Hopefully the FCC's watching.
Yeah, I mean, I already like that. But that only works then if that's the way it's gonna work.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
got to be standard.
right. If we're just trusted to make sure that these caller IDs are fine, from Verizon, I just don't see that happening. That doesn't seem,
Yeah, because I mean,
realistic, but-
there would be a rogue company out there
Yeah, and
that
what-
signed up, that they went
At
through the
what
hoops
point does
and-
that become Verizon's responsibility, right? Like if they turn around and put the liability on like us, right? Then if we screw up, is the liability now on Verizon or is it on us? You know what I mean? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, oh, very good
So-
point.
And then you got, I don't know.
So I think everyone watching agrees that it's a complete disaster. You've watched the three of us try to figure it out. For the
I
last
don't know
15
what they think, but I think regulation's great. It's good for the industry.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right, thank you very much for watching.
But we are working on a solution
Dun dun dun.
to stop these issues. Hopefully, we're constantly researching it and trying to figure out a way to help our customers. But at the end of the day, we want to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. How are
So-
you handling this right now? How are you going about handling the scam likely, the spam likely?
Yeah, what are you
Yeah.
doing? What are your strategies for dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
Because we know for a fact it's a huge pain. So how do you guys overcome that?
Yeah.
Let
Is it
us
even an
know.
issue for you?
Yeah, maybe you're like, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
But
Any
thanks.
question? Yeah, but thank you as always for watching. Subscribe, like, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.